Samantha Cassetty is the nutrition director of the Good Housekeeping Research Institute and has a brand new book called The 7 Years Younger, the Anti-Aging Breakthrough Diet, and she is here today. Hi, Samantha.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. I'm so impressed because I've actually been in the Hearst building and seen all, the kitchen and all of that area, which is pretty cool.
It is a fabulous, fabulous place. I can't deny that. We have a terrific view of the park. We have very high-end facility here, and lots of testing happens here.
Well, what a great place to work. It must be so much fun to get to experiment on a daily basis and to be responsible for giving a good housekeeping seal of approval.
It's a lot of fun. We do kind of like to think of our jobs as play. Although we work really hard, we get to play around with a lot of fun products, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm excited about your book, too, because, who does not want to look 7 years younger? And the Anti-Aging Breakthrough Diet sounds phenomenal, so I'm sure my listeners would like us to just dive right in. And what are the 7 sweet treats we should be eating?
Well, the thing about sweet treats is I feel like most diets steer you away from sweets, and our philosophy is, how are we really going to help someone if they can only sustain a weight loss diet for a certain number of weeks? Because after that is the longest they can go with feeling deprived. So this is not about making you feel deprived or giving up things you love, that there are actually sweets that you can include in your diet. So one of my personal favorites is Angie's Boom Chicka Pop lightly sweet popcorn. What's great about this is it's a whole grain. Most people are surprised to know that popcorn is a whole grain. It's loaded with polyphenols, which are healthy compounds in grains, and the lightly sweet version, doesn't have a lot of sugar. So sugar is a skin wrecker. We try to control that in our diet, but if we get this lightly sweet popcorn, that's something that you can eat that does not have a ton of sugar. And another great thing about popcorn is that you get more than 3 cups in 125 calorie serving. So you get to eat a lot. So it's great when you have the munchies.
Well, I would think so.
Also a huge fan of Emerald Cocoa Roast almonds. Now, everyone likes chocolate-covered almonds. These are actually cocoa-dusted almonds. So you get that cocoa flavoring. They're nicely sweetened without having too much sugar. But you get that chocolatey and the crunchy, and plus you get all the benefits of eating the almonds. So
you suggest the cocoa-dusted, not the chocolate-covered almonds.
Correct. You want the cocoa-dusted. The chocolate-covered ones take you into a different category. But you can get that flavor sensation with the cocoa-dusted ones. And I have Emerald here in the office, but certainly other people are doing this as well. And you can even make them at home.
Well, I'm all over that. Anytime I can have chocolate and almonds, I'm a happy girl.
Yeah, and even dark chocolate. So dark chocolate, I'm sure by now most people have heard that dark chocolate, is pretty healthy, and that's true. On the other hand, it does have a lot of calories if you eat too much of it. So I love these Dove dark chocolate promises because they're little squares, and you can eat one of them with something like a latte, a non-fat, sugar-free latte, and then you're getting some protein, and you're getting something sweet, and it's just kind of a nice pairing.
Well, and I like that because isn't it really, we're talking about a lifestyle change, so it's about moderation. So when we can have one of those chocolate promises, as you're saying, then that's something that we can easily do and incorporate into our life, and even when we're not dieting.
Absolutely. And, what's great about these is they're individually wrapped, so you don't have to exert so much willpower, like if you're staring at a bar and trying to break off a square. And studies actually support that. The more effort that you have to go through to eat something, the easier it becomes to just stick with the portion size.
Oh, I could agree with that.
And then in terms of granola bars, I think a lot of people look to these snack bars and granola bars as candy bar substitutes, which is a step in the right direction for sure, but many of them have just a lot of added sugar. And so while they are calorie controlled, they're still sort of glorified like fun bars. But Kashi has a fruit and grain bar in dark chocolate coconut that has tested really well at Good Housekeeping that has 7 grams of sugar, which is really low for a bar, and is around 120 calories. So it's a great choice.
Well, I'm so excited you said that because that is my favorite bar of choice.
Fantastic.
It's really good, but you have to be a serious dark chocolate lover, because the chocolate in it is not sweet. So like when my husband took a bite into it, he's like, oh, I'm not, Of course, he doesn't have to watch it like I try to watch. But if you love dark chocolate, you could really love this bar.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I think part of what 7 Years Younger is about is helping you understand how to kind of retrain your thinking around food and retrain your taste buds a little bit. Because what's happened in our environment is we're eating a lot of convenience foods, and we just need to be making better choices in those aisles because convenience foods can be loaded with sugar and salt. And when they are, that's what you're training your body to enjoy. So if we learn to make better choices in those aisles, we actually can adapt. It's just going through that process.
Sure.
Takes a couple weeks.
Of course, everything does. You just have to stay strong through those first couple of weeks.
Support.
Absolutely. Well, if you're just joining me, we're visiting with Samantha Cassetty, and she's got a new book called 7 Years Younger. I know you're all going to love this. 7 Years Younger, the Anti-Aging Breakthrough Diet. All right, now we've all heard of superfoods, but I bet most of us don't fully understand what they are exactly about. Can you give us some examples?
Sure. So superfoods these are the things that really are nutrition positive, and they bring a lot to the table. You tend to get a lot of bang for your buck, for your calorie buck. So something like, let's say, a sweet potato. A small sweet potato is only 100 calories. It's extremely satisfying. It has a lot of fiber, and it has a lot of beta-carotene. And beta-carotene is one of those nutrients that's really great for our skin. It goes through this process where it helps our skin hold on to water. And on top of that, people who eat a lot of orange-hued produce like apricots, carrots, cantaloupe, and sweet potatoes tend to have a glowing complexion that is, in studies, is rated more attractive than tanning or, using tanning creams and all that. Wow. So it's a real favorite and a big part of 7 Years Younger. I think kale is something that people talk about a lot, but it's really any dark green leafy vegetable. So baby spinach, which is so easy to get and maybe a little less polarizing than kale, although people are jumping on the kale bandwagon. They're both certainly excellent choices. They're bringing lutein and zeaxanthin. These are compounds that really protect your vision and are also great anti-aging defenders. We talk a lot about lean protein in the diet. Lean protein could be anything from chicken breast, turkey breast, tuna. There are lean cuts of beef, pork tenderloin, things like that. Lean protein is the building block of collagen. And collagen is the structure underneath your skin that's supporting the outer layer of your skin. So you want to make sure it's firm, and when it's firm, you will have less sagging skin and fewer wrinkles.
Of course. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's what we're all going for. And then, I sort of touched on this earlier, but whole grains are a big part of 7 Years Younger. We really have eliminated pretty much all the white grains from the program. It's all about whole grains, choosing whole grain pasta, brown rice, whole grain versions of cereals. But, that's something like Cheerios. These are not, random health food store picks. These are really mainstream things that fall into those buckets.
Well, we're talking 7 Years Younger with Samantha Cassetty. All right, well, I feel really good because, Samantha, I'm kind of on this kick So I'm following without even realizing following, which is making me very happy right now because I love kale, I love carrots, I love all those orange things you were talking about. But let's talk about some tips you have for outsmarting the peskiest cravings. And I understand it's got something to do with IQ. Can you tell us what they are?
Well, the thing with cravings is you crave things for certain reasons. So one is we're biologically primed to crave something. Back in the day, it was helpful to get high calorie food. So there is some biology that's working against us here. Then another aspect is we sort of attach memories to foods, and those tend to also be high-calorie foods. So maybe when you had a snowstorm, Mom always made brownies. Or maybe your family had a tradition of having pizza every Sunday night or Chinese takeout. Those are memories that are attached to the foods. And then sort of what I touched on earlier is we've trained our taste buds to accept high-calorie foods. So to outsmart them, we really have to create an environment in our homes and in our daily lives where we're getting we're mimicking the foods and things that we enjoy, but we're not doing it in an unhealthy way. So for example, something like a pizza, if that's what really gets you, you might either get one slice, like a one thin crust slice, and then eat that with a salad so that you're rounding out the meal. Or, even better, you might make that at home using, let's say, a whole wheat pita that you've split in half, and you're putting on the tomato sauce, you're putting on some part skim mozzarella, you're putting on some Parmesan, and then maybe some vegetables and olives, something to give it a lot of flavor. So you're sort of mimicking what you love, but you're shaving a lot of calories and adding in the anti-aging nutrients.
Well, we're talking 7 years younger with Samantha Cassetty. And Samantha, what are the biggest food trends for 2014? And can you give us some ways to prepare them and really enjoy them?
I think chia is a huge trend for
really?
us on the East and West Coast. This has kind of been percolating for a while, but chia seeds, I think, are really big, and they're getting to be more accessible. So now I'm seeing them in granola bars. I'm seeing them in cereals. But just the seeds themselves have a lot of omega-3s, a lot of fiber, and they're very filling. Omega-3s, just to backtrack for a second, are those healthy fats that we tend to get from fish. This is a slightly different version, but still a lot of benefits to getting them for both your skin and for defending you from diseases of aging. And one thing that I think is really fun that we're playing around with in the test kitchens here is making chia pudding. So we heated some milk, and you could use almond milk, you could use soy milk, or we just actually used regular fat-free milk, and then stirred in the seeds to the hot milk, let it sit overnight, and it becomes gelatinous. And then you season it with, some cinnamon. You could put some nuts and some fruit in it, and it's really sweet and satisfying and creamy and pudding-like.
Wow. Now that I would never have thought of. All right, Samantha, you have 5 ways to use one vegetable. I got to hear this.
Well, I love spinach in this example because baby spinach is so easy to eat and so easy to find. It's pre-washed, so you don't have to fuss around with it. I like it in a smoothie, believe it or not. So again, it's like this idea of using it as a substitute for kale. If kale is a little bit too off-putting for you, it's great when you blend it with either mango or pineapple because that gives it sweetness without adding too much sugar. And then a mix of Greek yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt, and milk so that it doesn't get too thick, but it's very, very tasty. I love adding spinach even to something like scrambled eggs and omelets because it just wilts in there so nicely, and it's just an easy way to sort of upgrade that dish. And another thing it really upgrades is canned soups. So a great thing that we did in 7 years younger, we added some baby spinach to a can of lentil soup, and it brings some freshness to something that is, in a can. But because it's lentil soup and you're getting all the benefits of the beans, it's a great convenient choice, and then you're adding something fresh to it to give it more zip. Spinach is also, we sneak it into soups. So, or I just said that with the lentil soup, but it works also well with, let's say, chicken soup, and you just kind of stick it in at the end, and it just sort of wilts and gets really nice in there. In lasagnas, because it just kind of layers in. So, and I also use it in sandwiches and wraps because it's great to get those dark leafy greens in. So sometimes you want the snap of something like romaine, which is also a perfectly good choice. But sometimes it works really well in, say, a Mediterranean wrap with some goat cheese and roasted red peppers and things like that. The spinach is a nice touch in something like that.
Awesome. Well, before you go, we got to talk about health apps because there's a lot of them out there, but the Good Housekeeping has some top app picks for looking and feeling younger in 2014. Can you tell us what they are?
We really like Lose It in terms of tracking calories. We've tested a number of them, and Lose It and MyFitnessPal are the two that we find the easiest to use in terms of like plugging in all your data. Both of them have very comprehensive databases, and they make it really easy to keep track of your calories, which, study after study shows that people who are tracking their calories, that simple act alone will help them lose weight, no matter what else they're doing, just keeping track. Another great one, we really like some of the fitness accessories, so something like a Fitbit, which is keeping track of your activity levels. It really keeps you accountable to what you're doing. So studies have shown that even just a pedometer can help people walk about a mile more than when they're not wearing it. And now these are, more techy. They're very popular. They come in great colors, so they're kind of, you're making a little bit of a fashion statement. I have a hot pink Fitbit, so it's just kind of fun to wear and see where I'm at in the day.
Well, I lied. I have one more question for you. I have got to know, what is like the worst thing that's happened to you in the test kitchen? I mean, I want to know, has there been a moment where something is blown up in the oven or something's overflowed, or you have a good story for us at all?
It mostly has to do with some of the things that we taste here. I would say some of those things have been our worst moments. So one time I remember tasting a vegetarian tuna, kind of fake tuna thing. And
There's nothing good about that.
I wanted to wipe my mouth with paper towels. It was so disgusting. So I think there are things like that we have tasted. I've tasted some frozen entrees that remind me of Pledge. I've tasted strawberry-flavored, low-cal frozen treats that remind me of Tums. So it's mostly the things that we taste as part of the job rather than the things that we create.
Well, then we have to thank you.
Yes, we're not bringing you any of these.
See, and that's why the Good Housekeeping seal of approval is so important. Otherwise, we would be tasting all these things that you've kicked out before you put on the seal.
We're doing the dirty work here.
Well, thank you so much. And you just keep doing that good work so that we don't have to go through it. Well, Samantha Cassetty, we appreciate your time. And I'm telling you right now, go get this book. It's 7 Years Younger, The Anti-Aging Breakthrough Diet. Thanks so much, Samantha.
Thanks again.